Thank you, Mr. Speaker, members of the House. The big question about the right to work for less bill, or any other bill that we consider in this chamber, is does the bill help people or hurt people? I can remember about 15 years ago when I had only had about a year's experience in this chamber, and we were working late at night. We had been here about 8 or 9 hours. The speaker was John Gregg, and we had considered a lot of bills. We were sitting here, we were all tired, and we all wanted to go home. And we were considering a bill that I think would give some kind of relief or support for Cummings Diesel in Columbus. And I had made my mind up I was going to vote against it. And Representative Cleo Duncan, who's from this side of the aisle, was making a speech. And she said that, and reminded us, that the reason we're here is to help people. We're here to help people, not hurt people. And I wound up voting for that bill, mainly because of what Representative Duncan said. So as we look at this bill, we need to look at it from the standpoint of, does this bill help people or does it hurt people? I don't know about you, but I did a lot of research on this issue, and through the internet there's a lot of information. The right to work for less bill reduces the income of both union and non-union workers by between $1,500 to $5,000 a year. And the right to work for less bill hurts people. Workplace deaths are increased by 51%, well, 51% higher in the right to work less states compared to the free states. And this is because unions are able to negotiate workplace safety in the workplace. That will be taken away if this bill passes. The right to work for less bill hurts people. This comes from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, not something that I sucked out of my thumb. Lower workers' compensation benefits for workers injured on the job. Minimum weekly worker compensation benefits are 30% higher in the free states than in the right to work for less states. The right to work for less bill hurts people. There's a 21% decline in the number of workers with health insurance and right to work for less states compared to the free states. The right to work for less bill hurts people. This comes from the percent of population lacking health insurance from current population surveys, health insurance coverage status by state for all people, table 106. The one that bothers me the most is that infant mortality rate is 16% higher in the right to work for less states than in the free states. This is the one thing that bothers me the most. Now, I had a problem with this because most infant mortality deaths, the reason for them is because of the lack of prenatal care. Now, when you look at it, even if a worker loses $5,000, he probably still has enough money to pay for prenatal care for his wife if she's pregnant. So how does this occur? And I worked on this, and I could not figure it out. Finally, I went through some papers that Gordon Lafer from the University of Oregon gave us when he was here to address the Labor Committee meeting. And it works kind of like this. For every $1 million less that goes into the economy, 6 jobs are lost. So if we take the $5,000 figure, and remember, dollars are not constant, they turn over each year. So that $5,000 becomes $15,000 per person in terms of buying power. Now, as this works its way out, like Representative Delaney was talking about, there's less money going into the local economy. So there's less buying power out there. So the new car dealer is not going to sell as many new cars. The bank's not going to be doing as much business. They're going to be laying off workers, and these workers will wind up below the poverty line. Now, if you're below the poverty line, you have no health insurance, and you don't have the money to pay for prenatal care, the problem is when your wife delivers that baby, the baby, in many cases, will die within the first year. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the House, I've stood up here and been in this chamber, and we've discussed abortion. And abortion is ugly and terrible. But something that's worse than abortion is bringing your baby home from the hospital and watch it wither away and die within the first year. That is more tragic to me than an abortion. So as we consider this bill, there's going to be a lot of people in this state watching our vote. Churches, thousands of churches around this state who've been informed about this problem will be watching your vote. The pro-life and the right-to-life people who are against abortion also believe that a baby has a right to life. They will be watching your vote. Thousands of Hoosiers will be watching how we vote on this issue. I urge you to vote against right to work.
Representative Pelath.